I get so many headaches every month.
It could be chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those who have 14 or fewer headache days a month. Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor. Visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Saley. So what's the plan for this summer? Thinking about traveling overseas? Maybe visiting a couple of different countries? Well, that certainly sounds like a fun adventure. But what do you do if, while you're on this trip, you suddenly find yourself in need of an internet connection and you can't find a Wi-Fi spot? That's why, before you head overseas, you really need to do the smart thing, which is to sign up for an eSIM plan with Saley, which is this new eSIM service app brought to you by the creators of NordVPN. With an eSIM from Saley, you can then have an internet connection wherever you travel to. Better yet, you'll save money on roaming fees. And the process couldn't be simpler. Just purchase the eSIM plan you prefer at the Saley website. They've got global and regional options. And then follow the instructions on the app and install the eSIM on your phone. After that, the Saley eSIM will activate instantly after you land at your destination. Me personally, what I love about Saley is you only have to install it once, which means no wasting time at the airport, standing in line as you wait to buy a local SIM card. With Saley, you can choose from several affordable eSIM data plans in over 200 destinations. Better yet, you can travel using the very same eSIM plan, no having to install a new SIM card with every country you visit. With the Saley eSIM, you'll always have a connection when you need it, so sign up today. And as a Disney Dish listener, you'll get an exclusive 15% discount with Saley eSIM data plans. Just download the Saley app and then use code DisneyDish at checkout. Again, Disney Dish listeners get an exclusive 15% discount with their first purchase. To learn more, go to Saley.com. Again, that's Saley, SAILY.com. Affordable eSIM data for international travel. We thank them for sponsoring today's show. Welcome back to another edition of the Disney Dish Podcast. It is me, Jim Hill, and this is our show for the week of Schmurz Day, August 3rd. On the show today, we talk about changes that were recently made to Zootopia, Better Zoogether. That's the show at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Not to mention how water pressure issues in Anaheim this past week made it kind of challenging to visit the Disneyland Resort. Plus, we finally finish our look at Turtle Talk with Crush. So let's get started by bringing in the man who agreed to sit in for Len Testa this week. It's my fine-tuning co-host, Drew Taylor, who's just off a plane from Portland. Were you up there at Laika?
I was up at Laika for more Wildwood goodness, Jim. And, you know, I really appreciate being on this show. I can't believe this is my first time on Disney Dish. It feels overdue, I think. And you know what? I want to hear from the people listening. Is this overdue, or would you rather have not heard from me at all?
Okay.
You know,
forgive me here, folks, but I was gonna, slide gently into a plug for Drew's book, but now this will seem somewhat awkward and gratuitous. But by the way, Drew has he was up at Laika, but he's written a making of book about Wildwood, which is Laika's next feature feature-length film. And also, I want to remind you folks that Drew is also a senior film reporter over at The Wrap. And if you want to know what's going on with the entertainment community, you should be reading what he posts over there regularly. In fact, you did some great reporting recently about the latest round of layoffs at Disney and Pixar. Reflecting on that now, any thoughts after the fact?
I mean, we had some of Fine Tuning's finest listeners were impacted at Pixar, sadly. I heard that like a majority of the story department got laid off. If you were there for more than 10 years, you kind of had your ticket called, which is not great. We've talked about this at WDI before, Jim, but the institutional knowledge is such a foundational element of what makes Pixar so special. So I worry that getting rid of those long-timers will have an impact. So I hope I'm wrong, but that is the fear, I think. And these layoffs were impacted large swaths of the company, including, I think, some big hits to National Geographic and ESPN as well. And I just wonder, like, how many more cuts can they do? Jim, it's pretty interesting. We'll have the earnings report this week. We'll see if they try to sugarcoat anything there. And of course, D23, the ultimate Disney fan event, just a few weeks away. Kind of hard to celebrate the magic when you're cutting all the people who are responsible for it. But you know what? We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you bring up the earnings call for the coming week, because flat out, when you talk with folks at the company, do you want to talk about also the disconnect between, how well Toy Story 5 and Hoppers did at the box office? So it's not a question of Pixar's having financial issues, but there's an aspect of this that is really performative. It's like Wall Street likes it when you make cuts, and in fact, that's ultimately what this is about. The Disney stock price has been kind of locked in one place for a while, and it's just sort of like, if we do this, perhaps the stock price will go up. Yeah,
it's interesting. Hoppers, they are saying underperformed, but I thought, I think it's almost 400 million, and I'm sure it has been played endlessly on Disney Plus. But I think the general feeling is that the movies need to be made quicker and cheaper. But then I kind of wonder, well, what's going to be the difference between a Pixar movie and any other studio if that is the mandate? And someone very dumb on Twitter that works for the Wall Street Journal said, Toy Story 5 only took 3 years and Hoppers took 6, and it was like, yeah, Toy Story 5's budget was also $100 million more than Hoppers. So, I don't really know what that's about. But anyway, all of these movies are very difficult and take a lot of time and a lot of care. And so I just worry, again, that will be sacrificed in the desire, you're right, Jim, to please the dark gods of Wall Street and the increasingly impatient Walt Disney Company board members. But this is the state of the company. It's not a mom and pop organization anymore. It is a multinational conglomerate that has tentacles that need to be fed. So we'll see. There we go. Just to slide back to Wildwood for a sec. Okay, Laika's latest is going to be released to theaters on October 23rd of this year. In fact, it's coming out through Fathom Entertainment, and they're staging it like it's a cinematic event. Drew's book, on the other hand, The Art of Wildwood, that will hit store shelves a week or two before the film itself. That's October 6th, and that's through Rizzoli Universe, right? Those are the folks who are publishing it? Absolutely. Absolutely. And another book project forthcoming, Jim. But we'll let people speculate on what that could be. Go. Well, anyway, as we mentioned at the top of the show, Drew has been kind enough to fill in for Mr. Testa, who is finishing up a cruise as we speak. In fact, if I'm reading the schedule correctly, Len's boat should be pulling into Fort Lauderdale as we record this, unless, of course, they ran into a chunk of kryptonite just off the coast, and that's all we're going to say about that. You know what? Thankfully, Len left some reader surveys here for me. No, he did not. He did not. But I wish that would have been fun if I had actually had some reader surveys.
Well,
no.
Again, I'm not privy to those. But that said, there is much to discuss on this week's show, though I do want to take a sec here to acknowledge our Patreon subscribers, nice folks like TJ Frey, Nick Morrow, and Chris Webb, who, when Disney's Animal Kingdom version of It's Tough to Be a Bug officially closed its doors back on March 16, 2025, it was TJ, Nick, and Chris who had the unenviable job of having to rehome all of those black widow spiders that used to bungee out of the ceiling down to the audience inside of that theater under the Tree of Life Theater. And I do have some good news on that front, folks. After a bit of vocational retraining, all of those oversized spiders have since found gainful employment at an Amazon warehouse that's just off of Disney property. They're the ones who are actually picking your orders now and getting them ready for shipping. And thanks to those 8 legs, or are they actually 8 hands, that's how you're getting that same-day service out of this enormous facility.
Wow. Bezos, what are you thinking of next? Good God, putting spiders in your factory.
But the interesting, supposedly the bunch of them, to celebrate their new gig, went out and saw Spider-Man Brand New Day as a group this past weekend. And in passing, Drew, wanted to ask, what do you think of this Daniel Destin Creighton film, effectively Spider-Man 4?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I think, it's breaking box office records as we speak, Jim. Yeah, but I look forward to your review when you see it on a cheap Tuesday in 6 weeks.
There we go. All right, now to get to the news. And the Disney Dish News is sponsored by BeOurGuestVacations.com. And we're now just 4 weeks out, folks, from Labor Day. And if you're looking to cram a bit more fun into your summer, like, say, a last-minute trip down to Disney World, well, the friendly folks at Be Our Guest Vacations can help you with everything it takes to book a trip like that. Tickets, hotel rooms, the whole schmear. So please check them out if you're thinking about heading down to Central Florida in the coming weeks or months. And let BeOurGuestVacations.com help you make your next trip just a little bit more magical. And speaking of a bit more magic, Drew, let's now talk about the recent changes that have been made to Zootopia Better Zoogether, which, want to remind folks, originally debuted inside of the Tree of Life Theater at Disney's Animal Kingdom on November 7th of last year, which, by the way, was a week before Zootopia 2 debuted in theaters on November 13th. So have you seen any of the stuff coming out of the updated, revised version of the show?
I heard about it. I don't think it's a great sign where you have to revise the ride several months into operation. This has big, we're going to add beach balls to Luigi's Flying Tires energy to it.
It's interesting you say that, because a friend of the show, Jim Schul, when I asked, when's the last time you can remember them doing this? And he's like, well, Alien Encounter. And it's like, I don't think it's quite, Alien Encounter level fixes.
No. I mean, I know people feel very strongly one way or another about the show. I haven't gotten to see it in totality yet, but I do think there are some weird things from a storytelling point of view, like why there are in-theater effects happening when you're officially watching some kind of video feed from the event. Like, why are there things happen? When I watch the news, things aren't exploding in my living room. And I saw that this pre-show element with the horse, Mayor Winddancer, is not even in 3D. Did you see that, Jim? It's just flat. And so I wonder if this was so rushed out the door that they were like it'll be stereoscopic at some point, I think, but it's not there yet. I mean, I love the character, and obviously Patrick Warburton should be a part of every Disney attraction in some capacity. But I wish Lynn were here to tell us what the feedback has been from guests, if this has been something that is predicated on some data, which I'm sure it is, but you and I are not privy to it.
Well,
right?
I actually did make a few phone calls.
Okay.
And well, let me lay this out here. All right. Okay. Zootopia 2, that Jared Bush, Byron Howard film, again, last year, monster hit, $428 million just in North America, an additional $1.4 billion overseas. So that's a $1.9 billion gross, fifth highest grossing film for all of 2025 in North America. And by the way, that's more, or damn near more than double the business that the original Zootopia did back in 2016. That did $1 billion and change worldwide. But here's the thing: the Zootopia, Better Zoogether, got okay reviews when it opened in November of 2025. It was seen as a reasonably good replacement for Tough to Be a Bug, and you can just hear from that language, Drew. This is kind of a tepid response from folks who saw the show. I mean, they're like, oh, there's something new in here, and it's like, okay, let's go see it, and came out, and it's like, all right, that was a new show. Moving on to the next thing I want to do in Disney's Animal Kingdom. But at the same time, this is an important franchise for the company. In fact, Jared Bush, who, by the way, now is the chief creative officer for Walt Disney Animation Studios. He indicated that initial development has begun on Zootopia 3, and there was that little tidbit at the end of Zootopia 2 that suggested that the next film will bring birds into this series. But just to be clear here, there's no story, there's no release date, there's just discussion about what would we do with 3. And are you hearing the same thing? Or
if only there was a fan convention happening in Anaheim, California in a few weeks, Jim, when some of these things could be solidified.
Yes.
I wonder.
Yes.
Let me just think about that.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And by the way, this franchise could be coming to a stateside theme park near you. I mean, there's been a lot of talk. In fact, a certain rap reporter wrote about this as well. Potentially that, what was it, Avatar, the Avatar-themed land that was announced for California Adventure back in 2023 could potentially change over to a stateside clone of the Zootopia thing that was done for Shanghai Disneyland.
Yeah, I think you and I are hearing the same things, Jim, which is that increasingly that is looking more likely than an Avatar attraction.
This is true, but the what fascinates me is supposedly on a parallel track. There, I guess, has been some discussion about, there is a Monsters Inc. 3 coming, and that, there is already a Mike and Sully to the rescue there, and, just the notion of, okay, if we're bringing an IP to California Adventure, which IP we're actually bringing. But anyway, should, on the other hand, a Zootopia land make the cut and finally come to California, the thinking was that the Zootopia Better Zoogether might actually find a West Coast home in the old Muppet Vision 3D theater, which also helps explain some of the tweaks that were just made to the film in the Tree of Life. Again, they debuted on July 29th. And now to get to the Len part of the story, supposedly post-show surveys indicated that some guests, especially international travelers, Drew, were having trouble following Zootopia Zoo Better Together storyline. And so this new scene was added at the very start of the show. So this is Mayor Winddancer. This is the character that Patrick Warburton voiced in Zootopia 2. So first of all, he's there to reinforce, to better explain what a Zootopia Day is, and then to introduce as early as possible the idea that someone nefarious out there is trying to disrupt the festivities, and then to also bring a better sense of closure to this. I guess they didn't necessarily bring in the I'm blanking her name, the voice of Judy Hopps,
Jennifer Goodwin.
Evidently, they did not bring her back to re-record dialogue. I guess that they did some editing and they found some alternate takes, but it's more definitive that we have caught this person and this is who did it and yada yada. On the other hand, Patrick Warburton, evidently, when they had him in to shoot his new little bit for Soaring Over America, evidently they threw a couple of script pages down in front of him, and while you're here, can you read this? But Drew is not wrong about this footage being flat, that it wasn't rendered dimensionality, that it was rushed, brought in fairly quickly. Though I wanted to ask Drew, I have yet to experience Soaring Over America, and you did get to do this during a Disney.
No, I haven't done it yet.
No,
I haven't.
really?
I haven't. They had us out for a press day, but it was not. They didn't have the ride film going. So
wow.
I talked to now outgoing Imagineer Tom Fitzgerald about it, but have not ridden the attraction yet. So I'm very eager to get my paws on that. Hopefully, I don't know if they're doing a D23 day again this year, but I was thinking maybe I could sneak off and ride that before preview night this year.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I mean, maybe we could do it together. Aren't you going to D23? Let's go.
I am. I think I'm out there from the 12th through the 19th. But yes, let's head over to the park to check this out.
All right, let's do it.
And speaking of West Coast related stuff, we'll have even more news when we get back from this break. But first, there's this. This episode is brought to you by Quince. Where did this summer go? Can you believe it's already August? Ready or not, it's almost time for a wardrobe reset. And if you want to stay warm this fall while also looking fashionable, well, you seriously need to go check out Quince, which makes high-quality staples that are built for the changing season. We're talking activewear, formal wear, and everything in between. Things like Quince's ultra-soft Mongolian cashmere sweaters, or better yet, Quince's cotton button-down shirts. I'm actually wearing one of those right now, and it's ridiculously comfy. And did I mention that Quince also offers home goods? We're talking about things like premium cookware or Japanese steel knife sets. So if you're looking to upgrade your everyday, download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers, or go to quince.com/dish for free shipping and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too. That's QUINCE.com/dish for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dish. We thank them for sponsoring today's show.
I get so many headaches every month.
It could be chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those who have 14 or fewer headache days a month. Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor. Visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Welch's Fruit Snacks. Back to school season can be tough on parents, but choosing a snack you and your kids can both get behind doesn't have to be. Stock up on Welch's Fruit Snacks, made with whole fruit and now made with no artificial dyes. It's a snack kids already love and one you can feel good about giving them. Go back to school with Welch's Fruit Snacks, now made with no artificial dyes.
And we're back. And what's great about doing having Drew sit in for Len on Disney Dish is you get a very distinct take on the California theme park experience. In fact, wanted to remind folks that you literally live right down the street from Universal Studios Hollywood, which, by the way, just soft opened Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift this past week. But you've been hearing this thrill ride for a while now, right?
I'm in the throes of Los Angeles's greatest culture war right now, Jim, which is rich white people complaining about a roller coaster opening up a hill from them, which I think is just hilarious. I welcome the screams of joy to the neighborhood, and we've been hearing stuff from Universal for years. I can hear Jurassic Park when I walk the dog. Sorry, Jurassic World.
Okay.
Yeah. And like there are fireworks going off from Waterworld. Like, it's... You and I, we could do a whole show, Jim, on the Toluca Lake v. Universal Studios, situation. But I feel like there has been nothing made about the increasing link between golf courses and Parkinson's, Jim. But God, they are annoyed by this roller coaster. It's so funny to me. My hope is that a lot of the rich people move out and then I can finally buy a house in the neighborhood. So... that would be the silver lining for me.
Interesting you bring up the golf courses, because Jim Schul shared some photos that he found, on social media just this past week. And evidently at the Toluca Lake golf course, they have actually set up sound measuring equipment. And the question now is, well, who set up the equipment? Is this the golf course to then be able to go to Universal, or is this Universal, which again, remember, they really courted the community. They went out of their way to tell them, we're going to try to make this.
How long have I been telling you about the things that they've been sending in the mail, Jim? This has not been a surprise. They talked about the Scream tunnels before they ever announced the Scream tunnels in these pamphlets that they would send out. And it's crazy. I mean, Jim, you can give a Reader's Digest version but when City Walk was going to creep down the hill and the neighborhood had an absolute fit about that. I mean, even to the point where you saw that the Olympics headquarters are not going to be at Universal this year, even though NBC is the broadcast partner for the 28 Olympics, that it's going to, I think, Warner Brothers or something. It's going off site. So, I mean, listen, they're trying to do everything they can to win over this community, and it's just not helpful. What are they going to do? You think they're going to tear down the roller coaster? Who cares? I don't know. The major concession I have heard, Jim, is that, there's onboard audio, but there's no music on the ride vehicles. Have you heard this?
Oh, jeez. Well,
it's just like car screeching noises, and apparently the story is that they are stunt cars, which I don't think that really makes that much sense, and I'm sure is not set up in the attraction. So, I mean, just think, Jim, not only if you had people screaming, but if you had gasolina blaring from every, ride vehicle, think about how enraged Toluca Lake would be.
Oh, dear. Well, now, speaking of things that enraged is probably not the right word, but annoyed. We were talking just before we get started here today about, prices going up yet again at the Disneyland Resort. resort. Only this is food related, or is it the whole resort? What's going on?
It's resort wide. So basically, this week, and I suggest you check out friend of the show Carly Weisel's Instagram for this, because she was doing a good job of breaking down some of the more outrageous claims, both by Disney and then the prices of these things. But yeah, everything has gone up. Literally everything. You know, I think like coffees are over $7 now. You know, snacks are in the $9.50 range. And then, Jim, as we were pre-gaming, I was reading you prices of Hearthstone Lounge, which is one of my favorite places to eat in the entire resort. And, you know, my beloved lasagna is now setting me back. Let's see what it is. $42, Jim. So,
wow.
Yeah, wow. I mean, my question to you, Jim, my question to the listeners is just like, when is this going to be too much? Like, when do you say, you know what, I'm good? Or, you know, are you just going to stop buying stuff? Are you going to pack a lunch? Are you going to go to In-N-Out on your way out? You know, Len has shared anecdotally with me some data about how there aren't that many people going to sit-down restaurants at Walt Disney World anymore.
No.
Have you guys talked about that on the show?
And it actually, from what we're hearing, is impacting design choices both in Piston Peak and Villains Land. You know, it just, you know, the notion of you don't want to compete with the sit-down restaurants you already have in the park.
Well, and that people are spending that money elsewhere, right? Yeah. Like on lightning lanes and all that. So, yeah.
I guess, again, the supreme irony here is that if we jump back, dear Lord, more than 70 years ago, I mean, one of the reasons that Walt wound up out in Orange County was that, you know, when he was looking to buy land for the family fun park he was trying to build, his dollar went so much further out there in the farmland of Anaheim. And, you know, and another thing that appealed to Walt about this area is, think about it. It was primarily walnut groves, orange orchards, and so they had wells out there. You know, they could tap into the aquifer, and so the notion of, well, cool, that's water I can also use for Disneyland. But that was then, back when this was remote farmland, you know, and Orange County had a relatively low population. And nowadays, when you consider the heavy population density in and around Disneyland, coupled with the demand for water from both the Orange County locals as well as folks who are visiting the area. Well, we had what happened just this past week on July 28th when Anaheim experienced a major city-wide water pressure drop. And news coverage of this stressed that it was kind of a worst-case scenario in that there had been technical and mechanical failures to 4 of the municipal groundwater wells in Anaheim. Did you follow the story at all yourself, Drew? Or
I saw a little bit of it. I think I saw that people were upset because basically nothing water related was working, and Disney sort of didn't give people a heads up.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but please elaborate, Jim.
Well, it was one of these things where, you know, if you went to go potty, you were met by a cast member who explained, "I'm so sorry, the city of Anaheim is experiencing water issues right now, and as a result, we're not allowing guests to use the facilities here in the park." And similarly, people who were showing up to the park sit-down restaurants, the quick service, and wanting to get food, and it's like, "I'm so sorry, you know, we're having water pressure issues thanks to what's going on in the city today. So please come back later." So people couldn't pee and they couldn't get anything to eat. And that didn't make for a terribly pleasant theme park going experience. But at the same time, Disney was like, this is literally out of our control. This is the city of Anaheim. This isn't our fault. And to the city of Anaheim's credit, they scrambled, and they were able to get normal water pressure restored after the city shifted to an alternate water source, which turned out to be the Colorado River, which, if you were paying attention to the news out in Southern California this past week, the Colorado River came up again just 2 days later on the 30th when, the news got handed down that there are... So from the federal level, there was a new proposal handed down. This was on July 31st, that the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, is going to keep water levels for the upper basin states, the folks that make use of the Colorado River. So we're talking Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming. On the other hand, the states that are in the lower basin, that's Arizona, California, Nevada, they're facing cuts. So at some point in the future, were this to happen again, the city of Anaheim wouldn't necessarily have this option. And you're out there in the teeth of this, Drew. I mean, they talk about water reclamation or being careful with water all the time out in Southern California, right?
All the time. I mean, it impacts everything in California. It impacts, you can't put a lawn down in your house, in your front yard anymore. It has to be either fake grass or kind of desert landscaping. And yeah, I mean, it's going to continue to be a huge issue. I mean, this week we had, a record heat wave that we're getting out of hopefully later today. But, this is the coolest the planet will ever be, Jim, and the most water the planet will ever have. So it's a little alarming. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to figure it out, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, to be fair here, that and it's worth noting that the Disneyland Resort has been serious about conservation, especially with water, for years now. I mean, for example, Grizzly River Run, the water that is used for that raft ride, whitewater raft ride, it's when the attraction is closed at night. And in fact, this is one of these details of the park that I love, that there's that tidal pool next to what used to be the Pacific Wharf area, now San Francisco at California Adventure. And that's where the water is held every night for Grizzly River Rapids. And when they pump it out for the day, when you look at, seemingly this tidal area where the tide has gone out, it's like, well, yeah, the tide has gone out and literally gone up that mountain. Conversely, there are, interlocking water systems at the Disney parks. I mean, for example, I want to say it's the dyed water system. The dyed water that you see in the Jungle Cruise is the same dyed water that circulates through, Rivers of America and the moat in front of Sleeping Beauty Castle. On the other hand, when you think about the Finding Nemo submarine voyage ride, that has to have crystal clear water. So it's a closed water system in and of itself. Though you'll love this story, Drew. That you may recall when that redo of Disneyland Subs first opened, that they talked about, in order to make the reef where Nemo and Marlin and Dory lived as colorful as possible, they mixed ground glass with paint, so the colors of the reef.
Oh yes, I remember this.
Would be very vivid. Well, here's the thing: the chemicals to keep the water as clear as it is are so toxic that they've actually started to break down the adhesive that was used to keep this paint with its ground glass on the props. And so the water has gotten so much more murkier and hard to see through because all of these pieces of ground glass are coming loose and floating in the water these days. So in addition to the paint and the dyes that were used to make them that color. So Disney's kind of staring down the barrel of, well, what do we do about this? Though, speaking of Finding Nemo, when we get back from this break, Drew and I are going to talk about Turtle Talk with Crush, the Living Character Initiative show that has now traveled.
Have you talked about the mobile version of Turtle Talk with Crush? There was a truck that came around that was dressed as the submarine, but with the water, quote unquote, on the inside with a screen facing out. That I just learned about this recently. So now I have to find a picture of this and send it to you. Yes.
Okay, well, no.
You thought this was the last installment on the Turtle Talk with Crush. Here we go.
It never ends. All right. Before we get to that story, there's this.
I get so many headaches every month.
It could be chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those who have 14 or fewer headache days a month. Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor. Visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Welch's Fruit Snacks. Back to school season can be tough on parents, but choosing a snack you and your kids can both get behind doesn't have to be. Stock up on Welch's Fruit Snacks, made with whole fruit, and now made with no artificial dyes. It's a snack kids already love, and one you can feel good about giving them. Go back to school with Welch's Fruit Snacks, now made with no artificial dyes.
And we're back. Drew, before we get started here, I wanted to ask, did you, when the Living Character Initiative program was going full bore at the Disney theme parks, did you have a particular favorite iteration of this? Or, Well,
I don't know. I have a vague recollection of seeing Lucky not propped against a wall at Walt Disney Imagineering, actually, out in the field.
Okay.
Yeah, but I never got to see Muppet Mobile Lab. There was a Stitch something, right? Or no? Was that only overseas? Am I misremembering things?
Well, they did the Stitch AA figure that was created for Stitch's Great Escape. They used that figure for a Tiki Room update.
Right.
But I don't know if that actually counts as part of the living character thing. Did you ever get to see the little Remy at Chefs de France? Or
I never did. I always wanted to, but I never did. That looked really cute. Of course, Turtle Talk was mind-blowing at the time, and then later it was my favorite place to do work when I had to be doing work in the parks, Jim, because I would just sit in the back, a nice air-conditioned room, laptop open.
Okay.
Turtle talking on the screen.
There we go. Again, a nice, quiet, dark place with air conditioning. I can see why one would seek that out for a work spot. But what's fascinating about Turtle Talk with Crush is the actual origins of this show. In fact, it was never initially supposed to be a show on its own. There was a time right after Tokyo Disney Seas opened, and they had the SS Columbia, that 495-foot long fake steamship there. I want to say at the edge of New York Harbor, kind of at the border of Cape Cod in that park. And, the notion was that we have all of this space inside of this faux ship. And, they were doing the sail away show in front of it, and they had the Roosevelt Lounge. But again, there was this giant chunk of the inside of the ship that they were not using. And so the notion is, well, we're putting a ride, we're putting what's going in here? And it's like, and more to the point, how are we entertaining people while they wait to get on this ride? And this is when somebody proposed the whole, well, let's just do a faux window out into the Pacific, and, maybe we can have, a character come and make an appearance in that show, and then understanding that this is when the Living Character Initiative program is underway. And it's like, this is what leads to the Crush idea. But again, only as the pre-show. The irony is everyone's like, that's a great pre-show. The attraction that comes after it, that's a terrible idea. But that's a great pre-show. And eventually the decision was made to break the show, the pre-show off as its own standalone attraction. And as we discussed on last week's show, this was put into effectively a corner of the exit of the Living Seas, with the notion of these are under, this is a part of that area that's just not getting foot traffic. We can set this up here as a temporary test, never anticipating that it would become the smash hit that it became. In fact, that's November of 2004. It opens at EPCOT. It's doing so well. And again, remember, this is during a time when they are desperate to create reasons for people to go to California Adventure. And remind me, Drew, what used to be in that theater space at the animation pavilion off of Hollywood Pictures backlot?
I have no idea, Jim, because the first time I went to Disney's California Adventure was in 2000. Geez, when did Cars Land open? 2012?
Wow,
is that right?
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Oh.
I actually went. The first time I ever went to Disneyland was in 2001, and it was, I think, October, and California Adventure was open, and there was so little interest from me and the people that I was with that we just went, looked over, saw that there was another park, and just went into Disneyland and spent the whole day there.
Wow.
So that is, if I ever get a DeLorean, Jim, I will go back, and I'm really fascinated by Chintzy DCA 1.0.
Well, just to get into the super, what's it, the soap opera,
Superstar Limo.
Superstar Limo, not to mention the soap opera bistro. I mean, that's the thing. I was trying to remember with the animation pavilion. I mean, they had the Toy Story Zoetrope, which is now at the Academy Museum. They had that wonderful lobby space where, I mean, I used to sit in there, same thing, sit in there with the air conditioning and just marvel at the 25, 30-minute long show they had in there. And they had the Enchanted Library, they had the voice experience, but I'll be damned if I can remember what was in that theater space.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, it's an amazing space, and I love the Animation Academy space is wonderful. I was just there for a very frustrating how-to session with Disney Pixar production designer Bob Pauly trying to teach me and a bunch of journalists how to draw the Conan O'Brien toilet character from Toy Story 5, and I was yelling at him from the audience about how hard it was. But, that space is a really wonderful, immersive location that I don't think they quite know what to do with it. I mean, it's a very important space during Minnie's Moonlight Madness, Jim, because there's a lot of, quizzes being given out in there and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know what was in there, and I would love to know. I would love to know what the 1.0 version was. All right,
but we'll chase that down and share it on another show. But anyway, so California Adventure version of Turtle Talk with Crush opens July of 2005. Then the concept starts to wander overseas. We get it in Hong Kong in May of 2008, and that's effectively literally, less than 2.5 years after that theme park opens. But at this point, Drew, we finally get it at Tokyo Disney Seas. In fact, pretty much in the same place it was going to be when it was the pre-show for this attraction. Again, in the SS Columbia. Though, interesting bend on this story, they tried just a straight translation of the stateside show. And it turns out that Japanese children were just too polite. They weren't willing to step up to the mic and interact with Crush, at least not initially. And what they eventually happened upon was that, okay, the only way this is going to work is that if Crush comes up to the glass, peers out into the audience, seemingly, and finds a grandpa in the room, and then makes fun of him. And for some odd reason in Japanese society, that then made it okay for the kids to come up to the mic. It's like, oh, the turtle's now making fun of Grandpa. Okay, I'm comfortable now with coming up to the mic and asking questions. But it was one of these things where they had to get the show up on its feet, and then get the visitors to the Tokyo Disney Resort going through the attraction before they finally figure out, well, how do we make this work? And by the way, basically the same thing happened when, do you remember when Disney did the next two ships in the line, the Disney Dream, when it debuted in January of 2011, and then the Fantasy in 2012, and they redid the Artist Palette restaurant, so now it was Crush who was basically coming to each table through the projection surface and chatting with the guests.
I remember that. And isn't there also a Turtle Talk at a hospital, children's hospital in Anaheim?
Yes. And in fact, what's interesting in both of those cases, again, they had to effectively rework the show. Because again, as Artist Palette, it's Crush coming to every table and trying to engage, the guests there as they're eating. And it couldn't be the same sort of thing that was done in the show setting at the theme park. Conversely, with what Drew's talking about here, the Children's Hospital of Orange County, again, this is CHOC. This is the wonderful organization. They do the walk around the Disneyland Resort annually, and it's a great outfit. But a lot of very sick kids wind up in this building and are, for weeks at a time, and are bored out of their skulls. And so the folks at Imagineering heard about this, and they went into the hospital. They found a lobby area where they could do this show. And what they do there is 2 times a day, and I want to say this is only not a couple times a week, but they wheel the kids out of their room along with their family members, and Crush then makes an appearance on the wall, and proceeds to engage with these kids. But it's a much gentler take on the show, because obviously you're dealing with sick kids who, it's sometimes all they can do to get out of their room. And this has always been a fascinating topic to me. The when performers do this, when they will go to children's hospitals. In fact, I had a friend tell me about, for example, Jim Varney, the gentleman who did Ernest, who was the original voice of Slinky Dog. And he would do appearances at children's hospitals all over the South. But Varney had this wonderful thing that he would do. It wasn't a question of, hey, here's the big celebrity Jim Varney coming into your hospital room, to entertain a sick kid. He would be in the full Ernest outfit and just walk into the room with a stepladder. And I'm sorry, don't mean to interrupt. I just need to fix this light bulb. And it was the kid who would flash on that's Ernest. And it's like, you're Ernest. And it's like, oh, you go, oh, hi. You know, and he would just have this very low-key, sweet.
That's really cute.
No, that's it exactly. And it's just sort of, and I was also lucky enough to get to interview Cheryl Chase, who was the original voice of Angelica on Rugrats. Likewise, Russi Taylor, the original voice of Minnie Mouse. And Drew, they used to talk about how it was like a day or so before Christmas. All of the voice actors in LA, evidently there was an old VFW that they'd go to, and they'd show up in the morning, picture the function room, but of old VFW, but they've set up a bank of phones. And what they then began to do is that, you know, the Make-A-Wishes of the world had provided a list of kids who wanted to talk to their favorite cartoon characters. And it was just, you know, so they'd get on the phone. And Cheryl, for example, said it was just so tough because you hear this really weak voice at the other end of the phone, but they want Angelica. You know, they want Angelica to be just as mean as she is on the TV show. It's like, so you dumb baby. And you'd have to have this conversation with this kid, you know, and be that character. And said you get off the phone and you just burst into tears. You just had to hold the performance till, you know, the call was done. And then it's like, you know, you'd regroup. It sometimes would take you 10 or 15 minutes to sort of, okay, I can do this again. And you know, Russi, you know, was one thing. Poor Russi was like, they want to talk to Minnie. They want to talk to Baby Gonzo. They want to talk to Huey, Dewey, or Louie from DuckTales. And it just sort of like, and at the end of the day, you'd walk out the door just emotionally wiped because it just sort of all of these sweet little sick kids at the end of the phone got to talk to their favorite character and would eventually just sort of fade out at the end of the call and just tough. Though, as we close out here, I guess we should mention that the original voice of Crush, the one that everybody who plays this character in the various Disney attractions around the world, that's actually Andrew Stanton, right? The director of now massive hit Toy Story 5, and not to mention Finding Nemo and Finding Dory, right?
That's right. And he has his live action film In the Blink of an Eye premiered on Hulu earlier this year. Yeah, he's the best. And, you know, speaking of Dory, did I tell you I saw clips from Loving Dory, the new short that's going to be attached to Gato?
I wanted to ask about that. Oh, cool. And again, you know, Ellen's come back, right? Yeah.
It is really cute. She's come back and she's fallen in love with a plastic bag, Jim, that's in the ocean. It's really funny. And it is, as a lover of, you know, really expressive nonverbal animation, what they do with this plastic bag and how it moves and how she interprets what it's doing is pretty great. Yeah. So keep an eye out for that.
That is so cool. And by the way, Stanton, who grew up in Rockport, Massachusetts, I want to say he's on the record as saying that, what is it, the original inspiration for the voice of Crush is the Jeff Spicoli character from Fast Times at Ridgemont, obviously, again, done by Sean Penn. But he only did... He thought he was only doing the scratch track, right? I think, you know, it was always, we're going to get somebody to play this part, right?
That's right. This is how I'm going to make my way into an animated movie, Jim. I'm already lobbying to be a background elf in Margie Claus. That's my current campaign. That'll be out next year. You know, I want to be killed in some horrifically violent way in the John Wick animated movie that my friend Shannon Tyndall is doing. So I think I'm going to creep in, Jim. I think you're going to start hearing me, you know, you'll notice my distinctive grunts, perhaps in animated features. So this is my dream. Yeah.
Okay. You know, aim high. We want you to be the next Wilhelm scream.
Yes. Put it in the library. Yep. Use it whenever you need it. Yeah, exactly, Jim.
There we go. All right. Well, on that note, folks, that's going to do it for the show today. By the way, you can help support Disney Dish and Fine Tune tuning for that matter, by subscribing over at patreon.com at Jim Hill Media. And want to remind you that Disney Journey, that's the YouTube show that veteran Imagineer and friend of the show Jim Schul does.
Wait a minute, I have something that I have to plug too, Jim.
Okay.
I have something that I have to plug. Okay, if you want to hear me talk about Disney theme parks and animation and the rivalry between Disney and Universal, check out the episode of Business Wars on Audible. Did you listen to it, Jim? Did I do okay?
I listened to you in the car when I was driving back from Philly when I went down and did the Universal theme parks exhibit at the Franklin. So again, was definitely a thrill. You did a great job.
Okay, good. Okay.
But anyway, go check that out, that episode of Business Wars. But again, on next week's show, Mr. Tessa will return, and myself and Len and Drew will be getting ready for this year's edition of the D23 Expo, which again, going to be held at the Orange County Convention Center and the Honda Center from August 14th through the 16th. And you can find more of me at Jim Hill Media, more of Len at touringplans.com, and more of Drew again over at The Wrap and also on the Fine Tuning podcast.
Yeah, Len'll be back. Len'll be back unless he has a little accident. You know what I mean, Jim? If he maybe misses a stair or something like that. You know what I mean? Has a little tumble or something like that. You know. Then I'll be back.
There we go. Again, that sounds scarily likely. Anyway, we are produced spectacularly by Eric Hersey and David Gray, who are headed down, coincidentally, to the city of brotherly love this coming weekend to eat twice their body weight in dough-wrapped goodness, because it's once again time for the Port Richmond Pierogi Festival, which will be held Saturday, August 8th, 2026, in Campbell Square in Philadelphia. And while Eric and David are doing that, please go over to iTunes and rate, this show and tell us what you'd like to hear next. So, for Len and the very gracious Drew Taylor, this is Jim Hill. Thanks for listening, and we will see you on the next show.